currently who look like one. I think the people that we mentioned, I was challenged one time to use the late Chris Kirubi in a church forum as a billionaire who was an orphan. Because somebody wanted me to use church people. And there are few. The late Miles Monroe is a billionaire, isn't it? We have a number of Christians, yes, who are a billionaire. But coming home, we could use the names of the Chris Kirubi, the rest. The Kenyatas, they are billionaire. Kenyatta was a water meter leader in the county of Nairobi. See, we saw him when Uhuru became the president, the city council trying to check if he was paid his pension. So there is nobody who was born a billionaire. We are all. I'm in this session so that we can talk about debt and how we can sort ourselves out from debt. Maybe a quick question. Are debts good? No, you know, something cannot be a yes and no. There is nothing that can ever be good and bad at the same time. When we are Christian, we are called to be righteous, walking in integrity and all those things. So are debts good? So kunao wanasema no. Wengine majority wamenyamaza. We are quiet. Why are we quiet? Let's be chair on the spot. What do you think? Are debts good or bad? They are not good. Okay. Sarah, are debts good or bad? No, it can't be. We can't be, you know, tunaambiangwa be hot or. I want us to settle this because the next conversation may change you or destroy you. Are they good or bad? Kuna watu wako kule nyuma. Bad. You know, this is good. This is a good conversation. When I got employed at the bank, and I want to use my story more than I want to use the slides, so that it doesn't become academic and theoretical. Yes. When I got employed at the bank, we joined 11 of us, and one of the lady we joined with, we schooled with her in Meru. My dad used to work in Meru, and I had traveled from Murang'a to Meru so that I joined Dad, and I used to go to a certain primary school up to class 6, and we separated from that time. We only met when we got recruited. And this was shocking because we couldn't really remember each other, but when we were being assigned to branches, that's when your name looked familiar. You also look a little bit familiar, but where did we meet? So we started talking, and we found out we were in the same primary school, the same class. And now we have met here. So we now became good friend. She was a lady, we became very tight friend. In fact, people thought, that is it. Little did they know, no, that was not. It was for purposes of us being in the same institution. So she told me when we get confirmed after 6 months of working, let's buy a house. Because the bank could give you a mortgage at 6% for 30 years. Or you could get a car loan at 8% for about 6 years. You could get other monies. Like credit card is easy to get as a banker. It's one of the products they want to give you as a banker so that you use it so that you can be able to sell it to other people. Buy a house. So where will we buy the house? She told me I have been scouting and I've seen in Maradaima there are some good houses. So I'm not scared about that. So it is what everybody say, it is what pushes you, isn't it? It gives you gratification for things that you hope for, things you desire. I don't have to wait, Sarah, to save my money so that I can buy the car or the house. So she told me, Imara Daima. I said, Imara Daima, Mombasa Road. You remember Mombasa Road? Of 2004, 2005, so when some of us were not born. But I'm using this and I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you because I want you to start thinking. I'm now taking myself back to where you are right now. Because your age, I can see, that is what was my age, below 25. And guess what? I go Imara Daima, I can't. Mombasa Road traffic, no. Me, a Mazika Road person or Remuru Road. If it is those areas, yes, I can buy a house there. And why get hurried to buy a house where I can be able to, I still have time. I don't need it. So what do I need? The son of Kamunyu grew up to a father who didn't have a car. Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. So, and there is no way my people in the village will ever know that the son of Kamunyu did not just go to university, but he actually got a job. So I had to confirm to them that, will they actually know I have a house in Imara Daima? Can the house in Imara Daima travel to my village? Baraka can. Ah, good. So 2005, God confirmed, and within 2 months, you see, God actually answers the desires of your heart. Most of the time. Whether good or, and I want to show you, he can answer the desires of your heart even when they are bad, they are disastrous to you. So prepare a paper, your calculator, because we are going to do maths. So what happened? I got a customer who used to visit me to come and change her dollars, and I would give her a very good rate. So she was married to a Japanese. She had traveled to Japan that period, and she came back with a car. And get what? I used to tell people, when I buy my first car, it will be a station wagon. Yeah? You know, the one that ukifungua boot, unaweza weka vitu. Si gari unafungua boot ni box tu. Itakuwa unafungua unaona kila kitu. And I wanted a G touring or an Air touring. For those who are of our age, they know which model of car is that one. It was a good car. So, but she brought a Nissan, but it was a station wagon, and it looked like a Subaru. I'm like, I don't like Nissan. People talk bad about Nissan, but she have brought it to me, and she have come to the bank, and she have asked me to walk with her to the parking, and she have told me, this is your car. When you get money, pay me. And have been confirmed, isn't it? So I can apply for a debt and buy the car. And the price actually she gave me was a very considerate price. Considerate. I am among the first people who got the Nissan Wing Road, the first ones zenye zilikuja Kenya. A KAZ 476Z. It's a new one. That time I was not also confident on the road. So ameniachia gari, sijai endesha after I did my driving, but I called somebody, I told him, I have a car, we need to go home. Since you drive, kuja tuende nyumbani. But after that 1 week, he could not drive me. Let me tell you, even when I drove the first time from work to Ruaka, near Oklahoma, that crab, border, they used to put a roadblock. The police used to put a roadblock. I found the roadblock, and I could not negotiate it. I stopped, called the police, and told him to remove the roadblock because nobody can navigate. But because I had the air, they allowed, so I passed. But let me tell you, I started paying for a car loan. My net salary was about $29,000. And I got a car which now the repayment is about 11,000. So we start working on it. So net salary, 29 minus 11. That is the car. Have I fueled? Have I done anything to the car? So my suffering started. When you have a car, is it possible for you to stay in a bed seater? Kuna parking huko? So what do? You look for a place where there is parking. Those days you could get a bed seater at 3,500. That is the one that I used to stay before I got the car. But now that I have gotten the car, I had to move to a compound where there was parking, and now I had to pay 8,000 for the one bedroom house. Because again, when you have a car, you cannot live in a bed. Not our age. Your age right now can do anything. Can even live in the car. So remove 8,000 from the salary. So when now I realized this thing is tough. So I started now strategically in the morning. I used to live in Zimmerman. Strategically in the morning, there were hassles of vehicles, so matatus. Strategically carry some people to work. But because Zimmerman was known for notorious gangs, so I had to look for people who are neighbors who would carpool with me and pay. Now, you are a single, isn't it? So who will be most of your client? The neighbors that you have. So I used to have one Jama we used to work with. So he would sit in front, and most of the time we would get ladies who are neighbors, hapa nyuma, kama wanne. So we are going to town, I will drop them, they will pay 50 bob each. So the guy was to be like the tout, to collect the money from them. But now, we said not everybody have enough salary to take them through the month. But this is like a personal friend. We have become friends. So, I dropped that business of ferrying people to town. So I would wake up very early in the morning and leave, so that I don't carry anybody. But I realized my car was still eating. So about 5,000 Kenya shillings was taken by fuel every month. So tutoe kwa ile pesa yangu. How much is remaining? I'm remaining with 5,000. Have I eaten? Have I? My parents still know their son is a banker. So he should be able to send something home. So what will I start doing? Live on debt. Now my friend decided to buy a house in Imara Daima. 2.7 million Kenya shillings. So we have the same salary. What her decision is, buy a house in Imara Daima. 2.7 for 30 years. The repayment is about 15,200. So 29,000 is our net. So remove her 15,000. What does she remain with? 14,000. Now, she got a tenant because it was a 3-bedroom house. She got a tenant who was paying 17,500. So add it to her salary. The government of Kenya recognizes once you have a house on mortgage, it gives you something called mortgage relief. So your salary is not taxed a certain amount, and you get, those days, we would get a net of 5,000 Kenya shillings from the amount of money that has not been taxed, isn't it? So what is our additional income? So 17,500 plus 5,000 plus 14. That is her. End of the month, her income is 36,000. She continued staying in a bed sitter, DSQ in Rangata, which she was paying 4,500. That is her rent. Sawa. Does she fuel? So give her transport from Langata to town those days. 3,000, isn't it? Remove 3,000. What is remaining with her? 20? So it is like she's still at the position we started, isn't it? But she has done things, isn't it? Give her some money to eat. So even the 8,000 Kenya shillings, remove it, all of it, for her eating. Does she have some savings of 20,000 Kenya shillings? Peter is negative. Now, she accelerated her mortgage. That money, extra money, she had some money savings, about 10,000 Kenya shillings, to Kenya Banker Sacco. Then she accelerated repaying her mortgage. From 2006 to 2014, she cleared her mortgage. And she called me and she told me she wanted to quit employment. 2014. I told her, nonsense. You're very young. You cannot live. You need to work until 40 so that at least it's something, isn't it? So at that time, she's telling me she's quitting. She told me, she abused me. She told me, you think because you have risen to very high position, we have all, actually by then, she was still an officer. I was head somewhere. She would report, she would actually not even report to me. I was too far for her to report to me. Yet, she's financially free. Is her salary still the same as 29? It grew. She got married. So she had a lot of incomes that were coming her way. Now, what happened? In 2014, she got a buyer for the house in Imara Daima and sold off the house at 14.2 million Kenya shillings. So I want you to pack that. 14 million Kenya shillings. That's why she's telling me she's quitting employment. Upon selling the house, 14.2, she had 3.6 million at Kenya Bankers saving. Because she never used to draw even her dividends. They used to be proud back. So 3.6 plus 14.2, how much is that? 17.8. She had pension from the bank, because see, the bank saves for you for retirement, and you are able to draw almost 60% of your money when you are quitting. You can draw 60% and leave about 40% with a pensioner until you are 50 or 55. She had about 2.8 million Kenya shillings that was coming from, so add that, how much is that? 20 point? Good. She negotiated with Old Mutual for a money market fund, a board for 5 years, a long-term board for 5 years, at 12% net of withholding tax. So, hii pesa atapata, nothing will be deducted. So, she pushed 17 million into that board. Now, I want somebody to calculate for me 17 million times 12%. That is per annum. Times 12%. 4. 2 point, divide by 12. 170,000 Kenya shillings. So from 2014 to 2019, she knew she has rocked her money, and every month she will be paid 170,000 net by Old Mutual without waking up her head to come to the bank and meet Sarah, who is telling her, I'm withdrawing my deposits And that time she has target to grow her liabilities and her asset in the bank. And she does not know what to tell her boss. So she has problems because customers have become mad with the bank and want to withdraw. She does not have that problem. She does not have targets. Peter, head of mortgage, you have to sell 2 billion Kenya shillings. You try to sell the mortgages, hawking them outside here. Nobody is buying. She has no, so 170,000. How much money had she remained with? 3.8 million Kenya shillings. She had remained with that. She left when she was about 34 years. During 2014, Uhuru government said what? The government procurement have to consider a third of all tenders given to youth and women. Is she a youth? 34. Is she a woman? Good. So she has 3.8 million Kenya shillings cash ready to do any business. So she registered a company and she started tendering for things. Things that she would know, if it is a 2 million deal, I'm able to finance, isn't it? So she applied to the government, and every time a tender is being opened, her name, her company has to be awarded. Because number one, when they are looking for a youth, they will get her in the category. When they are looking for a woman, they will get her in category. So she would get all the bids she would do and would easily finance them. You all know, because government take time to pay, so you price a tender for 2 million Kenya shillings. Most of the time it will give you 3.5, isn't it? But does she have pressure? Is she paying in a bank? Is 170 coming every month? Can 170 sort your problems? Yes. Kuna mtu ako hapa problem zake ziko beyond 170. So, my friend today, she is a multi-millionaire. She actually do serious deals because she was faithful in supplying. Wherever she is being told supply, she delivers almost immediately. And number two, the comfort of having some money coming every month built her confidence. She actually didn't have her confidence in the bank, and that's why she was not rising as we were rising. But today, she used to call me, Peter, has Otumucho credited my account? So, head of mortgages is running somebody's account to check if 170 has come. Let me tell you the truth. And she knows. Anybody in Kenya currently working, getting a net salary of 170 is a senior manager and above, not an ordinary person. This one is earning 170 without waking up. So, is debt good or bad? Is debt good or bad? So there is no bad money. It's us. See, Peter was there with his KAZ. I still have it. Scarges knows it. I still have it. I said I will never sell it. One, to remind me never to make any other mistake, financial mistake. Did I start correcting the mistakes? Yes, I said in 3 years' time, I will not be working. And I have to correct. So is it possible to correct your mistakes in less than the 10 years, the 5 years, or what? Yes, you can still correct your mistakes. So even as we are talking about getting out of the debts, it is getting out of bad debts, not debts. The woman, the Shunammite, is it the Shunammite The one who was asked to go and borrow jars. The widow. Go and borrow. And borrow as, because whatever you have is little, you just have a bottle with little. So go and borrow. So you may have an income which is little. 29,000 Kenya shillings is not a lot. But look at what it can birth. So even as we are pulling ourselves out of debt, it is possible to borrow and borrow wisely. It is possible to borrow and borrow wisely. So go and borrow as many jars as possible. So this woman borrowed, she came forward, traded. You see? Traded. She would have borrowed, poured oil into those jars and stayed in there. But the prophet told her, go and trade. So borrow for purposes of trading. I'll tell you one thing, and I know this is a contention. Borrowing to buy a house to live in it is not an asset. It doesn't give you any benefit. As she was saying, there are very many people right now in Karen with 5 acres of land and a huge maisonette they were given by their dad. They have no food. If you value the property, it's in billions, but they lack 136 shillings, which they can buy unga right now. Borrowing sometimes to buy rad may not be an asset. But you can borrow with the mindset, I'm going to trade with it. If you borrow for a house, like now she bought a house, she never stayed in the house. Isn't it? Yes. She traded with there, and when it was the opportune time, she had already paid off the debt. She sold the house, and the house gave her more. So don't take joy or pride telling people, I own my house. I live in my own house. There is no joy or peace or anything into it. It is no wealth. Because she sold her house, got 170,000 shillings. I can tell you, if she went back to that house, she would rent it at 45,000. So with 170, will you not be able to live in that same house? Will you not be able to buy other things? So trade with every shilling, every coin you borrow, you have to trade with it. So anybody here who is scared about borrowing, there will be limitation. And I know, and I will tell you the truth. Like Kenya right now, we are being told we over borrowed. I use Express Highway a lot of time. Oh God, I don't want to be in a country which doesn't have an express highway when I'm going to Mrorongo, or I'm going to Syokimau, or I'm going to Kitengera, or the airport actually. I want that nation, whether they borrowed or not, and especially because they are trading with it. I will pay my 300 shillings to be at the airport in 10 minutes, isn't it? Rather than spending 1 hour and a half on traffic, which I don't know if it will end. So yes, we have conversations. Did we overborrow? Let me tell you, the problem we have in this country is not about borrowing. It is about prudence of management of the resources that we have. Today, how many MPs do we have? 349. How many MPs did we have in 2000? 191. Were they representing us? See, we were well represented. What was the earning of an MP in 2000? It was below 100,000. What is the earning of an MP today? Almost 1 million. Plus, they now have bodyguards. They have a budget for their office. See, every MP has an office in town. He has a budget for that. So almost 2.5 million Kenya shillings is spent to pay these people. We used to have councillors long time ago. Today, we have how many MCAs? 2014. We used to have below 600. They were earning below 25,000. Today they earn 300,000. And they have I don't know what allocation. So our problems is prudent financial management that we need in this country. It is not whether we have overborrowed. We have created offices, isn't it? Our constitution that we created offices. So even in your house, let me tell you how you will be financially free. It is not because you have borrowed. It is that constitution that you have made with your wife, with your children. That is what is going to finish you or build you. If you have a constitution that we have to eat out every weekend, it will come with a cost, isn't it? If we have a constitution that each person within the family, my wife has to have her car, I have to have my own car, and children have to have a car that a driver can come and take them out, you live with that problem. It is your constitution that makes you poor or wealthy. It is not the debts that you borrow. We talked about 2 rivers. Yes. It was a borrowing, isn't it? And I can tell you, most likely, if you go and search information, what the owner did, he sold off some shares to a number of investors. Old Musho is one of the owners of 2 Rivers right now. So he created value from Napier grass and sold off shares. So have a vision. Debts will never become a problem. Have a constitution that enables you to look at every shilling and know you are managing it prudently. Let me tell you one of the biggest problems that we have. There are a number of people who borrowed, and why we have issues with debt. There are a number of people who borrowed to go and buy a plot in Kitengera. Those areas, isn't it? And when they bought it, they thought they will build, but they have never built. So they have been servicing a debt for something that is not generating for them anything. They call it appreciation. I like it when people say, can I appreciate? Because in 2007, I was admitted to go and buy a plot in Thika Greens. That time we were being sold at 650. I refused to buy because I had a car on, it was pressing. Today, Thika Green, the same plot is going for about 9 million, 10 million Kenya shillings. See, that is appreciation. See, it is something that I would have saved or bought with a debt which I would have paid maybe in 4 years. Today, from 2007 to date, it's many years. But if I pulled 10 million from that plot and gave it to her, I know today she can give me money market maybe at 15%. So I would have 1.5 million end of the year, and I would have approximately 120,000 every month coming to me without doing anything, just because of a decision to invest to something that has a futuristic agenda or purpose into it. So I don't want anybody to shy off from debt, because this is the clamor. Everybody is talking about debt. Everybody is saying how bad it is to borrow. Everybody is saying we have over-borrowed. I don't think World Bank would actually give us money if they have not evaluated and seen we qualify. It is because they have seen we have some resources that we can utilize. So the same way, there is no banker here, family banker out there. They will not give you money if you don't qualify. But now, upon what you do with that money is up to you. And I have shown you a classical way where somebody used debt prudently and benefited from it. So let's not fear debt, but objectively be well cultured to know debts are not for consumption. Debts are meant to be reinvested and traded in. You trade with the money that you get. You can save, but sometimes it may take you a longer time. And I will tell you why. I tell people today, if you saved money so that you can buy a plot. So me and Pastor decide, I am going to borrow this land. They are selling it at 1 million Kenya shilling. I'm going to borrow 1 million Kenya shillings to buy this property today. And me, I decide I'm going to save to buy a plot. We start together. How much money do I need to save? His loan is for 4 years. So for me to save 1 million Kenya shilling in 4 years, how much do I need to save every month? 1 million divided by 48. I need to save about 21,000 Kenya shillings every month. He decided, I'm going to borrow 1 million Kenya shillings for 4 years. He will be paying about 24,000 Kenya shillings every month. Do you think when I come 4 years later, this property will be 1 million Kenya shillings? I will find it is 1.5. What will I do? Will I ever buy a plot? I will continue, because even the interest income that can come from that may not be equivalent to buy that same plot. So sometimes you can borrow so that you facilitate, you take advantage. Like there is sometimes when we have properties that are going for cheap prices, you borrow so that you can take advantage of offers that are there into the market, so long as you are going to trade with it. So if Pastor borrowed to buy this plot and put some goats on it, in those 4 years he would have traded with it. If he leased it to a church, there will be rental income coming from it. If he planted grass and waited for people, he is a pastor, he knows who is getting married, he set them there for functions, he will be getting something out of it. So it is the discipline that you have, and therefore debts will never be a problem. But there are silly debts. Yes, I know I'm on camera, I will call them as they are. You have gone to shop, and you are at the till, and you tell me, I saw it is, I had 4,000 Kenya shillings. The thing has come to 4,600. And because there is a system, simeona hata banki ingine imekuja na the same fuliza. You just do tap, and you pay. And you say, you know, they have qualified me. And it is small money. I think it is 18 shillings per day. So I can pass it. Please, organize yourself. You are going to the supermarket. Please know what you have and what you are going to buy. Token in the house. We talked about it. Please keep a RAM. Nunua taa ile tulikuwa tunatumia. Weka tu huko. Token zikiisha, asha taa. Wachana na wifi. Wachana na news. Asha taa. usifulize, so that you buy tokens. I think we are 50 million in this country. Only less than 5 million are living on this. 45 million are still living on Nyitira. Isn't it? Others are actually using fire. Ile moto ikiwaka, it lights the place. So let's remove silly debt that actually become a burden. Is credit card a good debt? Is credit card a good debt? And I want to ask those who may have, who have advanced, they may have credit cards. Credit card can help you or can actually kill you. This is the final. Part of how I got out of the problem of the car, I got a credit card because we were being given a credit card in the bank. And I was living in Zimmerman, and I took a small shop, and I had a limit of 30,000 on my credit card. And I started spending on the credit card and using my cash money to go to Kamukoji, buy earrings, rings, those beauty products for ladies, and stock them at the shop. I will tell you one thing. We could buy a ring at 5 bob and sell it at 30 bob. We could buy earrings at 5 bob or 10 bob and sell them at 50 bob. So I stocked that. Credit card gives you 50 days credit free. So in 2 months, I have a leeway of spending approximately 30,000, which credit card have advanced to me without me paying, without interest. So let me tell you, house girls, they love those new things. Every Saturday, when they are given off, a house girl wants to go out with new earrings, and especially because they fade easily. So my shop used to be a place whereby we had a book. A house girl akienda kununua skuma, she come, change ya 2 shillings, change ya 5 shillings, anaiweka wapi? So Saturday anakuja, mnafanya hesabu, she checks how much she has and what she can take. I grew my small boutique from a credit card, building it from a credit card. And this girl started asking me, why don't you sell clothes? I would tell them, I sell. What do you want? I want a jeans trouser. What is your size? So we would rush to Isiri, buy, bring it, and I can tell you, we would make 200% profit. So the business of a credit card of a limit of 30,000 was sold at 880,000 in less than 2 years. And that is how I got myself out of the financial crisis of a car that was a problem. So credit card can be a devil, but because I had put 100% deduction on due date, deduct 100%, and I provide for that money, then I didn't have to pay any interest. I never paid any interest when I had that credit card, because it gives you money back immediately. So ladies and gentlemen, debts are not bad. It is the owner and the holder of those products. When you get it, it is you who direct it the way it should go. My credit card was a benefit to me and to my life. God bless you. I hope we'll interact more.
Praise God. How many of us, our theories of debt has been crushed? Hey, for me, I would have said the debts, it's of the devil, and me as a Christian, speaking tongue Christian, I will never take debts. Wow, wow. We can appreciate him once more. Thank you so much, sir. You have really trampled on our thoughts about death. And wow, wow. For the next, we have a sponsor. For those who are watching online, there's still another service, another forum. Let me not call it service. Another forum in the afternoon. And kindly, when I say you, kuja kwa ground, I'm inviting you to come. The next session will be an amazing session. We'll have a panel session of all those people who have spoken here. You can direct questions to them. So kindly write your questions. Even those who are here, kindly write your questions. I'll pick the questions. And if you're online also, write your questions. We'll get to them. I'd like to invite one of our major sponsors, Family Bank, to tell us about who they are, what they do, and the products for 10 minutes. We can appreciate her as she comes.
Hello, hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for hosting us. And my name is Esther from Family Bank Rocker Branch, where this church banks with. And I'd start first by thanking you for welcoming us and allowing us to be your sponsors, yeah? Secondly, I'd like to thank the speakers before me. They've laid a very solid ground on where I can start. So thank you very much for that, because I believe this forum is about money matters, financial advice, and the people in the audience are all qualified to be banking with us. So thank you very much. So I'll start by presenting who Family Bank is before what we offer. Anytime you hear of a bank, you imagine it's money. There are people banks intimidate, and there are those that it attracts. At least my former speaker here was a banker. He will mostly relate with what I'm likely to say. So to begin with, Family Bank Limited started in 1984 through our very good founder called Titus Kimondo. It is thanks to him that we are here with us. I'm not as old as 1984, but I get to reap the fruits of his labor. Secondly, as Family Bank Rocker, we were established in 2016. And we've, so far so good. And I understand from Pastor that he was among the very first customers to open an account with us. So if he ever tells you anything about Family Bank, he has experienced it firsthand. So I'll go straight to why I'm here as your sponsor. And to begin with, I'll tell you the kind of accounts that we deal with as Family Bank. We are a commercial bank regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya. So everything we do is regulated, and that is why we always try to engage people and tell them that you guys can trust us with your money, because as long as you have a regulator, it's like you have a watchman, you have someone watching over you. So there are very few mistakes that are likely to happen as far as your money is concerned. So I'm a credit officer in the bank, so I deal mostly with loans. So people in businesses, mtaniona kando. But before we get to loans, our expectation usually is that you first have an account with us. That is usually the first step of acquiring any form of debt. Then you can either have a business account or a personal account as long as your money can pay. We always say as long as you have the ability to pay loans, then you're lendable. And of course, if you're of good character, and I imagine if you're in the house of God, your character then aligns with the expectations of God. So I will invite you, before I get to the loans, I'll invite you to please open accounts with us. If you have families, I can see some of you have children. We have Mdosi Junior accounts where you're able to save with us. We give you piggy banks. They look like cartoons, so it's entertaining for children to save with them. Because anytime you teach them, all lessons come from home. So if you teach them how to save and they have something fancy to bank in, then at the end of every month or week or whichever frequency of your choosing, you can come and open our piggy bank. We don't give you keys for babies because they're also small, they will swallow the keys. Plus, we don't trust parents with the children's money. I'm kidding. We do trust you because it's your money, but we always advise for you to come and open from the counter so that you're able to know if you've taught your children on how to save as per your expectation. Then I'd also invite people who are salaried to come open accounts with us. We have very good products for people who are salaried. Mostly loans. You are either a business person or you are an employee. There is no in between. So I'd invite people who are salaried now to come at least and enjoy our services. We do personal loans, we do salary advances for those people who are usually unable to wait for the end of month for them to at least get money. Needs come up. As long as we are under the sun, needs will always come up. So we're always there to solve that. And now, the good thing about all our accounts, there's always a solution not to come to the bank. People in our nature are usually very impatient, so queuing is not one of any human strength. So we do digital financial services where we give financial solutions on your phone, on your computers. These days, it's just a click of a button. You're able to track your money, how it moves, everything mobile. So we also do that, and our internet banking mostly is usually very efficient because even if the account is for more than one signatory, you're still able to access it. So that is as far as accounts and digital platform goes. So where people really like to know is how you benefit, as Kamunyu has said, about debt. That is where we mostly come in because banks are to give financial solutions of any need. And they are not grants, they are loans. So there are two types of debtors, like I said. Salaried people, that is easy, you just use your payslip. There's a way that the government has regulated, or CBK has regulated, that you're not supposed to go above a third because your children still need to eat, even if you're committing your debt. And that is why he said that much as he had committed his debt to his car, then he didn't have a headroom for anything else. Then there are business people. Now, those ones are fluid. I call them fluid because they can play around with their finances depending on your needs. It's not as fixed as a pay slip. So for business people, we lend to people who we've never banked with in the past. Because we also allow, just the way we request you to first come open an account to form a relationship with you, we also trust that if we first form that relationship with you, then in return, you're able to give us your business. So we bank to both new to bank clients and those who have been with us. So depending on the kind of business that you're doing, there is no one blanket idea of the kind of loan we'll give. Because it depends on what your business wants. So if you're dealing with a church, now for example, since we are in a church, you know how much you collect weekly in form of offerings or whatever revenue that goes through your church. So the kind of loan that we give depends on how much income comes to your account. You're the one who maintains your books, wendo unajua washirika wanakaaje, how much they give. So, but then for churches, it's like the bank really favors churches and schools because most financings are usually 100% on whatever asset you want to acquire. And of course, it has to be within the limits of your transactions. Because you can take a 10 million mortgage and you only qualify for a 2 million mortgage. It's also within the limits of your transactions. Then, other than the church, we also do pay bills for the church. You are enjoying internet banking, right? Now, those that are in the congregation and online, those in the congregation that are not part of the church as a business, then they are either in, say, what comes to mind, water. We also have a product for water business, hospitals. It's usually diverse. So the long and short of what I'm trying to say is we are a financial solution, and there's no one blanket idea of what or how we lend. We tailor-make your products depending on your needs. You understand? So my urge is we've set camp here so that we are able to listen to each and every one of you, because I'm unable to address what everyone needs wherever they sit. She's from insurance, you're from financial consultancy, he's a pastor. So you see, if I give an idea of what you should all do, that will be misleading. So thank you very much, Pastor, for giving us a camp here. I'm also going to leave our contacts, and we're also in Rwaka Square. You guys know where Rwaka Square is. That is where we are. You can come ask for Esther or whoever you find in the banking hall. Will always assist, but I'll leave my contacts just in case. We are headed somewhere for work, so I won't remain for the next session, but we'll leave our camp and our contacts. Just in case anybody wants to reach out, we're always available. Yeah, thank you very much. And those of you who want my contacts, 0725 739 630. Yeah, so thank you very much and have a blessed day. All the best.
Thank you, Esther. We appreciate you. Appreciate her. Don't go, Esther. Because you are not around, we have a question and answer coming. So we want to ask, is there anybody with an urgent question to her? We didn't want to close because they are not going to be around. So are you leaving somebody on your desk?
No, we are all required to be
in the meeting.
In the meeting.
All right, it's okay.
Yeah.
So I think you will leave your contact somewhere there on that desk, and anybody we can follow up with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Would you appreciate them? Yeah, so yeah, you can see even the moderator wanted to nini. So guys, we are going. Are you learning? Unajua nasikia tu speakers ndio wananiambia wanasoma. Sasa sijui kama nyenye mnasoma. Are you learning? So if you are learning, we are just about to take a lunch break, and we want you to invite people. Call them wherever they are. Tell them to come. There is this getting hotter. Not just with the sun. It is also getting hotter hapa kwa maneno. Mumesikia hiyo maneno ya loan? Hata kuna kastori kamekatika nikienda kushughulikia wageni kidogo, lakini nitasikiza kwa sababu wana record. I really wanted to hear what was the end of that story. And thank you so much for coming. And for those who are online, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching and following. We will receive an offering later, but not now. But if you're online and you want to give, they will give you details there how you can give. So I want Joy to come and bless. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. So,
Praise God. For those who are watching us online, you don't want to miss this next session. So I'm inviting kwa wenye tuko kwenye groundi, we have something to eat and something to bite. So I'd like us to say a very quick word of prayer.
and visit the desks. We have IC.